Hello. So this week we will be going over the latest changes for Subspace Desktop, the issues that are solved, the new ones, and the latest changes. I can start with sharing my screen. I think it is visible now. All right, so a couple of small fixes, and some of them are big. Let's go one by one. So we had an issue when people try to import their mnemonic from the advanced page. It was not properly working because we haven't implemented that functionality, but the button was enabled. So we disabled that function, the button. So there are no more importing mnemonic option, but I will talk about it later. There's a new reward address importing function. The ring was creating problems for the latest nightly version. We changed our policy for that. Right now we are not following the latest nightly because it can break things more often than we expect. So we will be stick to a nightly version and update the nightly version manually whenever we see it's fit. So this is solved by rolling back to previous nightly version. This is enhancing the documentation. I believe we went over that last week, or no, I don't think so because it's just 6 days ago. Maybe we went over the PR, but it was not merged. That's why it's closed now. So basically, it's more explanatory on the documentation side. What does this application does? What does this application do? Sorry. And some other details, but nothing major here. This was a bit of an issue. So the problem was in here on macOS, under the app package, there is actually a Unix executable, and this was the auto launch thing was trying to launch the Unix executable, which is required to run a terminal in the background, and we don't want that. So the users would have a Subspace desktop GUI application as usual, but in the background they will also have a terminal. And when you try to close the terminal, which most of the users will do, this application is closed. So it was ugly. We fixed that with changing the path to the app package itself rather than the Unix executable. So it now auto launches in a fairly good way without the terminal in the background. So it's like completely graphical user interface. This was related to this mnemonic. We disabled the not implemented advanced page, and I reintroduced it actually with the reward address, but in a different way. I will talk about it later. And we had some typos in the information tips, tooltips. For example, the Telegram link was redirecting to wrong Telegram channel, the announcement one, not the community one. And also Subspace initials were not capitalized. Any questions on the closed issues?
We're going to go through these in more detail in the demo, Özkan.
Yeah.
Great.
For the new ones, starting from here, we will also include in the README of the repository, we will work on that with Justin, the required specs to run this application. Right now, we don't have that. And one of our team members, Simon, mentioned that she is actually using a light mode operating system, and our logo is not very visible and accessible, as you can see from here, and especially from here, which is really bad. My idea for that is wrapping that icon with a black line so that it should be visible. The most optimal solution would be using a different symbol for light mode and dark mode, but unfortunately this is not being implemented in Tauri, and also for the installer it's not even possible. So we have to find a symbol that is compatible to both light mode and dark mode. So Diana, if you have better suggestion than wrapping this with black line, feel free to do so, but this is the best idea that comes to my mind. So this is one of the issues that needs to be solved as soon as possible because there
Okay,
are lots of light mode users.
great. Just to resolve that, will that work for you, Diana? Can you just make a simple black outline of that?
Yeah, of course. We just discussed that before. And yeah, I get it done today.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. And Skylar mentioned that, okay, there is not much in here, but the hints we are showing to users are not redisplayable. So we can work on that, and the user may open the hints as many times he or she wants to. I think this will be a good improvement, but not a high priority one. And it would be somewhat complicated because we are revealing the mnemonic there. So if it's opening for the first time, it should reveal the mnemonic. But if it's open for the second or third time, it should not reveal the mnemonic. So there are a few implementation details there, but it's fairly simple other than that.
Yeah, makes sense, but not a priority. We got far more important bugs to work on for now.
Exactly. And Nazar suggested that the RAM usage, the CPU core usage is fairly high. So Leo will work on that when he finds the time and will try to reduce the CPU usage of UI event listeners. So this is not related to Tauri side, but for Quasar and View side, we will check on that. This is more of an investigation issue.
Is that the highest priority ticket right now for Leo?
I think so.
Okay.
Aside from the PR, he needs to merge. I'm waiting for his approval. After that, I think this is the most critical one.
Okay.
Along with this, these two, I believe, share the same high priority. Maybe this one is even higher. So sometimes when we are reopening the app with the existing plot, it stucks on the screen. So this is pretty bad. Actually, this needs to be solved. So when the users open that for next day or a couple of hours after, they should not see that this is stuck in here and this actually proceeds to the dashboard properly. This is something we need to fix.
Do we have any intuition as to what's happening? Like, is this a JavaScript Quasar issue again?
Probably because what I'm sure of is it's not related to node sync.
Yeah, from what we can tell, I think the node isn't opening fully on the back end because Nazar mentioned that like his CPU usage, when he was testing this, when he would first open it, he could tell if his CPU usage shot up a lot or if it didn't, basically if the node actually started on the back end, or if it was just like the GUI, cycling and showing nothing.
Yeah, from the console log, from the screen, I remember node was initiating properly, but could be. So we will investigate on that with Leo, but
Do
my
we have
node
any
is on front end.
Do we have any logs, or sorry, have we recorded any of this trials or testing or debugging in the issue? What you
Not
just
from
talked
my
about?
audio side, no.
Okay.
I haven't
Lois,
encountered.
can you look into that and confirm that? It's just unclear when Leo is going to be able to work on this, and he has a lot of stuff in his backlog. So if there's anything that you can
Of course, I can
validate, that would be great if you can confirm that suspicion that you have and document that here.
Of course. Okay. So this is for sure not a high priority, but for the initial password creation of the app, we are actually not checking any validity other than these two passwords are matching with themselves. So it should be, for example, a length and complexity, other than that.
Just curious, remind me, since we don't have private keys on the node anymore, what is the password actually doing? What's it encrypting?
Good question. I never thought about it that way. We always had the password there, and it was used to hashing the private keys.
Well,
Okay.
originally we were storing I mean, we have the signing keys, which are
Yeah.
still on the node. Originally, the signing key was the reward address, so we were encrypting the signing key, or at least not exposing it to the UI. I think it still sits in the back in the back end, but we were encrypting the signing key. And if the idea was if the user was going to later retrieve their private key, like you can do in MetaMask, for example, that you would have to provide this password to decrypt the private key. But we no longer have a notion of a reward private key that's tracked by the app anymore. So it feels like this might be just an artifact of an old design that we haven't pruned out yet.
I agree. But I rather not hurry and think about it more, like where it is used. I should check in the code exactly where it's used. I agree. If it's so, I should get rid of the screen.
Okay. Can you just drop a comment in there for that, Oskin? The only thing I can think of, I mean, it probably still is encrypting the signing keys for the node because that's what it was doing before. But the question is, do we need to do that? Is that really a big deal? Because like, why would you ever provide the password to get your signing keys back out, right? And they're already, in plain text in the app to do the work anyways. So it doesn't really make a difference if they're encrypted or not. So if we could remove the password from the whole workflow, that would even make the user experience better, right?
Exactly.
And less confusing.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any thoughts on that? I know that's like a big change. Does that confuse anybody?
No, I definitely agree. It doesn't seem like it's really necessary anymore. So no point really having it there.
Okay.
All right. The next one is actually, so we were enforcing the launch on boot default option. And the way I did it, whenever you start the application, it was running some initialization process and it was trying to turn on that launch on boot default option. The problem here is if the user does not want that, if they want to keep it as off, we are not actually storing that preference, and every time the user reopens the application, it will switch back to on again. So this was a bug. Now we are storing this preference in the local storage, and the default behavior of turning this on is only initiated if the app is started from scratch. Like there is no history or memory of user preferences. And right now, this is not merged yet. I'm waiting Leo's PR to be merged because these changes include some of the folder files. After this one is merged, I will submit a new PR and we will merge that. The code is done on that. So we can consider that this is done on the implementation side. I believe there is no question, so proceeding to next one. We discovered that keyboard shortcuts are not working. To paste something, we actually need to right-click on the input field and select paste from that. This could be related to Command Q not working on macOS as well. So I just discovered this today, and did not work on that. This is just the issue, not development news. And this is also a big one. the time required for estimating the plot is too long, and today it did not work for me. So throughout the day, I was trying repeatedly to get past the screen, and it didn't work. I believe Nazar said to me yesterday when we talked about it, network is so bloated, it's not working properly anymore. So maybe this could be related to that. I don't know. But we somehow need
What do you
to
mean network is bloated?
Polkadot app GS. Like when we try to query the block explorer, it's very, very slow and sometimes not responding.
This kind of goes hand in hand with what we were talking about yesterday, Jeremiah,
Mhm.
with the Bootstrap domain.
Just can refresh our memory, please. What is the process right now to estimate the time?
Leo handled it, but as far as I remember, it queries the farmnet.b WebSocket and tries to get the information from there. And if it succeeds, it estimates the plot size from the information that it received from there.
Okay, so it measures the height of the chain,
Yeah,
and then I guess it should have the size of the chain as well in the chain state, in the consensus state. So it queries the RPC endpoint, gets that. And then is it a generic estimate, like regardless of the machine, or do we do like a test bench of like how fast it is to plot on this machine, and then we
we don't do a test bench. With time passes by, I believe it adjusts itself.
Yeah, this is strictly for size.
okay.
So I know
So
the code.
how does go ahead.
Sorry. In the code, there is no specific thing like machine-specific code. It's like general purpose code.
So how does it auto adjust the time estimate?
From the piece, from the remaining piece to be plotted, and I believe the download speed. I'm not sure. Again, Leo handled that, and
Okay.
I just saw it worked properly. Didn't dive into
Okay.
details of the code.
So I think what we have here is a case of something that works, like the code works and it compiles and it produces some output, but it's probably completely inaccurate because it's just a bad design.
Sorry. My bad. This is not estimating plot time. It's estimating plot size. My bad on the issue. Like it was trying to query the blockchain for size, and this much space you need to allocate. I'm talking about that screen. I'm not talking about amount of time that requires to plot.
But the plotting time itself is not actually accurate either, right? Like the clock and the estimated time.
It's
Pretty
not,
accurate, but not completely accurate. So it's
yeah,
not a problem.
it's about what I would expect with those estimations. You know, like they're always a little off, but like on Mac, it seemed relatively
Yeah.
accurate.
Like on average, it works.
Okay. I mean, is this like very subjective? Like we just kind of watch it and it seems kind of correct, or are we doing like a actual versus expected measurement and, benching it?
No, we are not benching it at
Okay.
the moment. Like
Okay. I
adding
mean, when
bench.
I ran it on my machine, it seemed pretty far off. It was something I noticed. So I thought that's what this issue was about, but it's not. Okay.
Okay, I will open a new issue about that also.
I mean, it's not critical.
Mhm.
We can put it in the backlog.
Yeah.
If this seems like it is critical because it's kind of blocking to get this response. So there's a deeper problem here of just too, like you were saying, I don't know if bloat's the right word, but too much load on the RPC server from all the nodes on the network. Or maybe it's not big enough to handle that right now. That's a completely separate issue, which probably shouldn't even be tracked in this repository. But maybe just note that in here that this depends on, most likely depends on improving the, and we don't have to do it from the RPC endpoint either. I guess that's just like, you can just join the network. Like, okay, so we don't sync the chain history from the RPC node, right? We just find our peers from the RPC node, and then we connect to some number of peers and we sync the history from those peers.
We can do that, yeah.
I mean, is that the way? How does it actually work right now? Do you know?
I believe it's directly connecting to WebSockets, but not peers. It's directly connecting to Bootstrap node or something like that.
So we are syncing the history from the Bootstrap node.
I think so. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
can you verify that? That's actually a whole nother issue. If that's the case, that's the root cause of the problem. We should not be syncing the history from the Bootstrap node. We should just be populating our peer table from the Bootstrap node, and then we should select a random peer to bootstrap from. So we're not basically leveraging the peer-to-peer network to share the load of the sync. We're pushing all the sync for all the new nodes onto the bootstrap node, which is not the way it's supposed to work. If that's the case, I mean, I hope that's not the case, but it sounds like it might be.
Yeah, I think it's not the case. Because that would take a lot of time if we sync from our public RPC.
Okay. I mean, it is taking longer than we're expecting, and the public RPC is not responding as quickly. We've noticed this over the last couple of days or weeks. So I hope you're right. But I mean, do you know what the instance size is right now on the public RPC, Serge?
No.
Okay.
But it was 3.40 yesterday or the day before that. So it should be around 4 at maximum.
For what?
Gigabyte.
The blockchain size, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So we can move on to the pull requests and start from the closed ones. Should we go over the documentation?
Do we need to?
I don't think so.
Okay. No.
Okay, this one is important and this one is important. So basically, for this PR, we removed the advanced page, and hence the mnemonic import option is gone by itself, and we turned TSSCs into testnet SSCs, and we updated the README with the small description. We don't need to go over the files or changes, I believe. It will be too technical. And for the typos, like subspace was not capitalized, and this should be a question mark, and we changed this link to the proper Telegram link. Nothing fancy going on here. These are the two pull requests merged, and currently we have 2 of them opened. One of them submitted today. One of them was finalized 1 or 2 days ago, and we approved it. But I'm not sure if Leo was going to add something more to that. So that's why I didn't merge it by myself. But I can go through them. So this is a big one. It fixes the configuration directory and data directory, and we were using a separate config file. We are not using that anymore. We are using the local storage, so we don't need to store a external config file. And for all the files that we need to store, for example, the plot, identity, etc., we are storing them on the proper locations for each operating system. And we also changed some permissions and capabilities. So we couldn't specify a folder didn't exist. Right now we can do so, and it will ask for the creation of that directory or folder. And also, when a folder will be created automatically, for example, the default one, it's again asking for the user permission, as it should have. So this PR is about that. Any questions? I think no. And this one, I will demonstrate that. Adds the functionality for importing a reward address to desktop app. We added an optional page, and since this is an optional function, this page is skippable. The validity check is applied on the user input data value. So if backend Rust Tauri side cannot parse it, it does not allow the user to proceed in the workflow. And we store that reward address in the local storage so that in the dashboard it will be displayed as this block is farmed by or farmed to this reward address. The note is, since we didn't craft a UI design for this page, I just did it on my own and it is subject to change. It's by no means the end product. So if there is no question, I can start the demo for that.
Before getting into the demo, Özkan, there were some bugs that Yewan was telling me about and that we discussed at the business team sync earlier in the week about the desktop farmer, that it was like were those covered already, or are those, that was some of the issues we went through?
Yeah, Yewan was talking about the startup issue. The startup issue where when you start it up, you have to it just kind of stays at the connecting client screen and you have to reset it. The bug itself was submitted by Nazar that same night that Yewan mentioned it.
Okay, got it. And so that has been in a pre-release, which we shared with the team, but we haven't shared it outside yet for testing.
Correct. Yeah, there was that one. Some of the team started testing it, or not the team. Some of the community started testing it because I mentioned it on our Wednesday office hours. But beyond that, it hasn't been fully pushed to the rest of the community just yet.
Okay. Go ahead, Özkan.
Okay, and on that, Skylar had two issues as well. One of them being the typos, and second one being reopening the hints, and actually third one being the displaying mnemonic again if user wants to. But I don't think we will implement that since it's creating some security holes. We don't want to store the mnemonic, and it should be visible only once. Yeah. And also, I checked some other crypto wallets. They are following the same approach, like they are displaying the mnemonic only once. And if you are not able to store it at the moment, you just have to wait, and you should not proceed. So I think we are good on that.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think the question there is just proper education, or maybe there's some change, like Diana, that we need to make to the wording or the messaging on that page, so that it's more clear. Because even somebody like Skylar, you would expect to know that, but if not, then maybe there's something that we're doing wrong in the way that we're presenting that screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Should I proceed to demo?
Please go ahead.
So the starting page is as usual, nothing changed here. Again, nothing changed in the password screen. And as you said, if this is not necessary, we will get rid of it. Previously, when we click continue, it would proceed to set up plot screen, in which we will be able to see how much space will be allocated for this blockchain and how much free space do we have, etc. It's no longer the case. It will proceed to reward address page. In here, there is a skip button. Again, I didn't put effort on the UI, so just inspect it for the functionality wise, not design wise. In here, you can enter the address in SS56 format, and I added an extra explanation, like it should start with letters ST. And in here, in my Polkadot wallet, I can copy my address. I can paste it in here. And this is not working, by the way. I just put it for demo purposes. Like if I click on it, nothing will happen. It's just for like, should we include this option or not? And in here, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was just gonna say, let's not skip to the screen before we have some time for comments. Or let's
Okay.
not skip to the next screen because
Okay.
I've got a
Then we
bunch
should
of comments
complete.
here, but keep going.
Okay, one more thing then. I will not click it, but if I click it, and if it's not correct, then it's not working. I should fix it again. Let me restart it. So, functionality I was hoping to demonstrate was if this address is not valid, this continue button will not work. So it cannot continue. The proper way for doing this would be disable that and enable that when this is valid. So let me copy paste it again. And if it's valid, when continued, it should proceed to next screen. That's all I wanted to say before proceeding into the next page.
Okay, so there, if you go back to that, okay, so there should be something called, I think it's called like contextual form validation feedback or something like that. There should be the ability in Quasar that whenever that input is typed in and it is correct according to some validity rules, it will like outline the box in green to give like the user some immediate feedback that that is a correct forward address. And if they type in something that is incorrect, it would give them like a red outline and then some message or some hint that explains that it's incorrect or why it's incorrect.
Yeah,
And
there's
also,
with that.
sorry.
There is a slight problem or technical challenge with that. I tried to do it today. Since this is a demo version, I didn't put much effort on it, but this is calling Rust site, like invoking Rust function for validating it, parsing it. And all the invoke functions need to be asynchronous. And for those things you mentioned, those need to be not asynchronous.
Could you not validate it with like Polka.js or some kind of front end package?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
so
can.
the solution would be validating this with in the front end. Right now, I'm validating it in using the backend. That's
Well, you
why
can-
it cannot be real time. Like when something typed in, the function it's using for changing this green or red does need to be not asynchronous.
Well, I mean, user input is inherently asynchronous as well. You can define an endpoint like after they type it in, you wait like 100 milliseconds, or if they don't use the keyboard or something. Like there's architectural ways that you can get around that for sure.
Sure.
And it's okay to like separate it so that there's like one validation stage which happens, you know, on the back end that then reports back to the front end. But I think it's totally it's just an implementation detail. It's totally a solvable problem.
Yeah.
But that's what we want to work towards here is the user. It's not a matter of like, does the button work? I mean, certainly the button should not work if it doesn't validate, but the user should know before they try to click the button. Because I mean, that's like, I'm just clicking the button and it's not working.
Yeah.
Like, why is it not working? That's just really annoying, right? They should get some kind of feedback in the form field.
Yeah, I agree. Like I just want to say that I tried to do it, but couldn't succeed in the first trial, so it will need more time on implementing that feature.
Sure, and I mean that's one of these things where like Serge or Leo, I mean, this is, you know, their bread and butter, so they can probably help you debug these issues very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know if I can help, because forms are really can be painful.
Okay. Thank you, Serge.
One thing too, that I think, and this is obviously kind of more of a back burner issue, but a lot of people in the Polkadot space expect to be able to paste their substrate address, the one that starts with 5, and have it automatically convert to whatever substrate-based chain they're on. Back to another
really
thing
good
with
point.
the validation, but something that we might want to include too, instead of having them paste the ST version.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
That's a good point, but it is a little bit later feature because now we've got three potential, you know, are we creating a wallet? Are we connecting a wallet? Are we importing a subspace address? Are we importing a substrate address? So we've got to be careful about how we present those options to the user. My general feedback on this page is I don't like that we're making the default path to import the reward address. I think the default path should be to create a new address like it was before. And this is more like the advanced, and that we should, and that like I guess the first thing I'm thinking, if I'm like a new user and I see import reward address, and be like, what is my reward address? Like, where did that come from? Or connect a wallet, and I'm like, well, okay, what is a wallet? Like, where's just the ability to generate my reward address naturally here?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was just for demonstrating import reward address function is working. As I said, I put no effort on the design.
Sure. I mean, can we not have it as part of the plotting phase still? Like we can go into the plotting screen and we can start syncing the network, and like allocate the space. Yeah, I guess we need to have a better requirements here, or not requirements, but better workflow defined for you here, Oskin. But I see that you're just demonstrating that this works. But yeah, the way that I'm imagining this will work right now is that we're probably going to disable the password screen. The reward address in the default path, the reward address should get auto-generated. In some applications, they require some entropy from the user, like scroll the mouse around or like type something in, to make sure that you have like high degree of entropy. I think for now we can just use system entropy to get this. So we basically can just call the random function with like time or something like that as a seed, like system clock as a seed, and generate. No, you do need some user input into this.
Reward address is being generated automatically by the backend from the monorepo code.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't have any user input on the entropy in that either.
Yeah,
now that I think about
doesn't.
it. Yeah. Okay. So we'll just stick with that for now. But it should, in the default path, it should automatically generate the reward address, and then there should be this advanced feature, which might even be on the home screen, that would take you to this page right now. So I think this page is right for like if I want to import a reward address. That it's just that we don't want to present this as part of the default path.
So would it be okay, like in the main screen, there is a button called Advanced, and when you click that, you are put through this screen. Otherwise, this screen doesn't display to you if you did not click on the Advanced. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Because we already have the code for that, and it should be a very trivial change. It should like 5 minutes.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Okay, cool. So then you copy and paste your reward address in, and then now I was still a little bit confused on the connect to wallet. So you said that doesn't actually work right now? No,
it doesn't work. Like I put it for reminding that if you want that function or not. So this is not
like
working. It's not empty button.
Connect to your MetaMask kind of thing.
So that it would import this reward address automatically for you.
Okay, so you imagine that you would click connect to wallet and then just describe what would happen? Like what's the workflow there?
So if I click connect wallet, I probably Polkadot JS should open and finds the relevant entry and we'll paste it in here automatically.
How does it know you mean the user would find the relevant entry, or it would just automatically happen?
I prefer automatically happens, but I don't know how.
Well, if you have multiple keys, like how does it know which one is the right one?
Polkadot pops up and prompts you, and you can
Like,
select which
if
accept.
there is a single entry for ST, it should automatically can select it. But if there are multiple entries with starting with ST, it can ask the user like which one of these you want to use.
I think automatically connecting to wallet will scare people. And I don't even know if we can actually make that happen. Probably the best case we can get is like connect to wallet, like log into your, like it will maybe prompt you to open your wallet if it's not already open, like log into your wallet. And if you are logged in, then it will just maybe like, what do you call it? Bring into focus the wallet UI, and then allow you to choose one. Like there should be like a wallet API where we can like send messages to the wallet. So it forces you to choose one and then you click OK. I mean, I know you can do this in MetaMask. I don't know enough about Polkadot.js extension to know what that supports, but I would assume it does. So that you could click one and then it would just revert focus back to this application. But
Yeah,
is
so
that-
I spent
Sorry, go
most of
ahead.
my time on the back end. So I don't know much about these wallet communication or extensions as well.
Serge, do you have any comments on the feasibility of that? Can we have like, I don't know if we can even have cross app communication through the OS like that.
Yeah, I think we need to like check if this is possible. That would be nice, but I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah,
So we need some research.
From like a baseline level, you'd have to be able to transport the information from one browser to another, because Tori is just basically a browser.
Right.
So that's probably going to be the big roadblock.
Well, if Connect Wallet is a link, if there's some way that we can open the what are they called? Not the widgets, but the extensions in a link to your default browser, and then paste in some instructions as like URL fields or something like that. Maybe that is a way that we could at least communicate with the app, but it feels like there's probably, or could communicate with the browser, but I don't think there's a way to get the browser, like you probably have to manually go back into this screen when you were done. I don't think there's a way we can redirect the user to this from the browser. Another thing that we had discussed with Nizar was the ability to just import the Polkadot.js or Subspace, the extension as some tool within the desktop app, since the desktop app is a browser. But in that case, we wouldn't have access to the same keys. I don't believe that we'd have access to the same keys that the user might already have.
Yeah, the user would have to re-import it into their Polkadot.js version on the app.
Yeah.
Just like I've had that issue using like Edge and Brave at the same time with Polkadot.js.
Right. Okay, so I think what we want to do here, Oskin, is on the home screen, we'll have an advanced, we'll show the advanced link will take you to this screen, and it will just be the top half with the import reward address. There will not be any or, so you can just hide the bottom half and then create a ticket, create an issue for the bottom half that we need to like figure out, like basically just capture what we just said. You know, this is what we're thinking. We need to do a little bit of research, validate this. This is a feature enhancement to be able to import directly from a reward address that's in our browser, and also what Justin had said about, actually, Justin, if you can create a ticket to capture what you had said about the ability to import a Substrate or Polkadot address and then have the app converted into a Subspace address.
Definitely, will do.
Okay. Oskin, assuming that this reward address is correct and that your validation works here, will it, does that actually follow through? Does that work? Is that, okay.
Yeah. So a couple of things. The validity is actually the specific parse function that Nazar wrote on the monorepo. I just copy pasted. So if it's able to parse it, it will allow to the next screen. Probably the previous time I deleted some of that, it was still able to parse that. That's why it was able to proceed to the next page.
Sorry, quick question there. If that's a function that's in the monorepo, can't we just expose that and call it versus having to copy and paste it?
Exactly, and most of the farming related functions are copy paste, and that's what I mentioned in the core protocol. Like we could expose most of the functionality in the monorepo so that the code in Subspace desktop would be more modular, and also we won't need to copy paste everything with each update to monorepo. We would just use the exposed signature of the function, and it should work.
Okay.
Yeah.
But these are like stateless functions that we're exposing for the most part, right? They're not like, we're not actually accessing this, we're not making the state accessible or the ability to change the state accessible by these things that you're talking about.
Can you rephrase?
Yeah, we're not, I guess I'm just trying to make sure that these are like, they're public read-only functions is what I'm trying to say. We're not trying to expose, like, that's a big thing, you know, that Nazar has tried designing the protocols to make sure that we're not exposing private logic, and we're also not exposing any write, you know, logic into the app. And that's why, you know, he's really believes strongly about this boundary that he's trying to enforce here.
Okay, then what I'm suggesting is not that, like, only this part function is not changing any states. The ones I'm talking are changing states.
Okay, so that's probably yeah. So this should be a lot less controversial than to expose.
Yeah, yeah, of course, yes. Do I click on continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
And in here, I'm gonna explain a few things. Let's start with inspect element. This should be a small screen. I'm sorry, it's not. I cannot make it larger, but it's actually queries from the backend that reward address is correct, and that's why it proceeds to this screen. And other than that, this screen was the problematic one for the retrieving estimated plot size. The issue we talked about previously. It was not able to get how much space will be allocated for the subspace protocol. And I waited like 10 minutes, 20 minutes repeatedly throughout the day. The reason we are seeing 4 GB here is because I hard-coded it to be able to proceed to next screen. So it's not the default behavior right now. Just for demo purposes, I hard-coded some values so that we should be able to proceed to next screen. And when I go there, it should fail. I mean, it should not fail, but it should be fetching only one segment, which is not correct. Again, this is because I hard-coded the previous screen, but otherwise it would not be able to proceed through the whole screen. Don't be confused. I have proofs of it is working under here. So you probably can see my terminal. It's archiving the segments as the farmer. When I stop it, I'm going to stop it for this purpose. In here, the reward address is retrieved from the front end. This is the user supplied value. And I also copy pasted the same public address from my Polkadot.js to here, and it is the original. So they are completely the same. So the value transferred to the backend from the front end, it's working, and this is printed in the farming function. So farming is able to parse that value into a real public key and use it as the reward address. And also, glad that I took screenshots from yesterday when the whole thing was working correctly. I can show it from Discord, I believe. Okay, let me find the relevant place. Okay, in here. So this is the reward address. This is the address that farmed it. So let me be more plain in English. This is the public ID that has been created by the desktop app. And this is the reward address I supplied. So when the block is farmed, the reward is went to this address. So I'm sure it's working, but I cannot do a demonstration at the moment because of the thing I mentioned, the bug I mentioned.
All the stuff you hard coded, that was just for your local version, right? We're not committing any of that to the repo.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, we are committing that to repo. But this is an open PR about, but it's not merged yet. It's not on the main.
So the one
Yeah.
segment in the 4 GB plot size is in the PR?
Yes, but it will not be approved and I will not merge it. It will be changed. Sorry. This whole reward address thing is in the PR except for the 4 GB thing that I made only locally. So it's not in the PR.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to check.
Sorry. Yeah, I misunderstood. My bad. Yeah, that's my demo. So I didn't went into dashboard because there is no block farmed yet, and that's why it's not able to display anything.
Can you go back to the farmer app, please?
Of course. You probably want me to start from scratch, right? Because
well, actually, I just want to go back to the plotting screen. So I
Okay.
guess what I was going to ask is, so does it not support the ability right now to generate a key locally? Generate a reward address locally?
yeah, it does.
How do you do that? You just click cancel on the previous screen?
You click skip. That's all. Like you mean here, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't want to import a
Oh.
reward address, so when I click skip, everything is happening automatically.
And then I see my mnemonic when I click start plotting
Yes,
for
as
the reward
usual.
address.
Your reward address will be displayed in the dashboard under farmed by.
Right, but is this mnemonic for my reward address or is it
Yes,
for?
exactly.
Okay.
This
And what if
mnemonic
I-
corresponds to your private key to your public key, which is the same as reward address.
Okay, and what if I import my reward address?
Then you still will have to display that mnemonic. Let me show you. So I'm going to paste my address in here. And if I click start plotting, I will have to display the mnemonic to be able to proceed to dashboard.
But how did it get the mnemonic from the reward address?
Mnemonic and reward address are not connected. So this is
That's what I was asking earlier.
Oh,
Okay, so what is this mnemonic for then? For my signing key?
Yes, exactly. So there are actually now two identities in the desktop app if you wanted to import a reward address. One of them is automatically generated by the desktop app, which is from the mnemonic. And this will be used for signing and publishing the blocks. The reward address is only used for getting the rewards. So it's
Right.
nothing to do with block production.
Right. Okay. So I think we need to change this, is what I'm trying to say, because if I want to generate my reward address for the first time locally, like how do I get that mnemonic out to put it into a wallet or to re-import it in the future? Because that's not what's being displayed here. This is my signing key, but I can't import that in if I need to set up a new farmer. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat? I lost you. Sorry.
Am I crazy here? Can someone give me a sanity check? Does anything
No.
I'm saying make sense?
That makes sense to me. So
Makes
the
sense.
farming identity on the farmer is irrelevant to the user entirely. They don't need to know it. They don't need to know the mnemonic. They don't need to know anything about it. All they need to know is the mnemonic for their potentially generated reward address so they can access the rewards.
Yeah, so you are suggesting that if the user imports a reward address, they don't need to see the mnemonic, so we should skip that.
Well, the first problem is that this mnemonic is the wrong mnemonic. So we should never be displaying the mnemonic for the signing keys on the farmer. We should
Okay.
only, if we display a mnemonic, it should be the mnemonic for the reward address.
Okay, I see.
And
I see.
only if they create a reward address on the farmer. But that is the default case, right?
Yeah, I see.
If they import a reward address, then there should be no mnemonic. That part of the setup phase should just get skipped. That one single page should get skipped.
I see. I understood now.
I mean, otherwise we're going to like confuse the user. They're going to pull out that mnemonic and try to re-import it the next time, but it's for a signing key. It's not a reward address. So like things have gotten out of sync now.
Okay, for the dashboard, like if you imported a reward address under here, like under farmed by, you will see your reward address. The question I'm asking here is, this is not actually accurate because it's not farmed by the reward address, but it's actually, the reward is sent to the reward address. So should I change the wording in here or should we keep it?
Almost feel like there needs to be
You are
another
muted,
row.
Jonathan.
Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
I was just saying, it's almost like there need to be another row because on one hand, I would want to know, like if I had multiple nodes, I guess that would be out of scope for this version. But you know, you could make an argument that one would want to see the farmed by and where the rewards were sent at the same time.
That's my idea, actually. I just didn't want to say that, but glad that you came up with that.
Sorry, I'm got another meeting I'm supposed to be at, so I'm just letting them know that I'm not going to be there. So what you're saying is that the farmer or in the block explorer and in the UI,
Mhm.
the address is the signing key address, not the reward address right now.
It's the reward address right now, but
Okay.
it's not accurate because reward address is not the one farmed it. It's only getting the reward. Like this farmed
That's
by
fine.
is actually.
That's fine. We don't need
Okay.
to map it. Yeah, because that's what the user cares about, really.
Okay.
The
So right
signing,
now
the,
it's
the
more
user
like-
doesn't even have a notion of signing keys. Like just imagine the user never needs to know or wants to know that signing keys exist.
Okay, then it's fine as it is. Like it will be displayed for the reward address here at the moment.
And on the block explorer, which one does it show?
It's showing both.
Shows both
Uh,
separately.
Yeah, like let me reopen the screen capture. I had it there. So in the block explorer, this one is the signing key. And if you expand rewards, block reward, you will see the reward address in here.
Okay, so we probably actually need to make some changes to the UI to make that a little bit more clear, because that's probably going to confuse people too. They're probably not going to realize they need to drill down into there to find that.
Yeah.
So if I were to, okay. So if I wanted to search, like, I can't remember if you can do this. If I wanted to search for an account in Polkadot.js and I typed in the reward address account, it would show my balance as a farmer. But if I type in the signing key address, it won't show any rewards for that signing key. But they're not even going to have signing keys anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Right. And on that same note, like if you look your reward address up, it's not going to show that you found any blocks or that any blocks are signed by your address. So you might think, oh, I haven't won anything, but I have this balance.
Yeah.
Or the flip side, you know, oh, it says I won signed all these blocks, but I have no balance, you know.
Right. So we probably need to make the block, the default be the reward address for who got the block, not the signing key address.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. That is a change in Polkadot.js apps. Or no, actually, that's probably a change in the protocol. Okay, let's make a note of that. Okay, keep going, Oskin.
That's all.
Okay. Cool. This is great. It's looking really good. I hope the feedback is helpful. I think we're moving in the right direction here. We just got to rearrange the order on a few things and remove a few things, but otherwise I think we're good. Okay, so the immediate priority, Oskin, is to get this reward address straight so that we have this default path of auto-generate the reward address, show the right mnemonic, advanced import a reward address, don't show a mnemonic. Okay. So that's the immediate priority. So that's basically bringing in the changes that Ivan is working on, as quickly as possible in here. The next step is going to be to make partial replica farming work. So what that means is before you could only plot the blockchain size exactly, or whatever the encoded blockchain size was exactly. So now you should be able to plot less than the encoded blockchain size.
And with that change, we don't need to actually fix the bug of estimating the plot size, because the thinking and plotting process is working without this.
Well,
Like
we still
in the
need to
dashboard-
estimate. We still need to estimate the plot size. Well, we don't need to estimate the plot size. We just need to estimate the max plot size. Still.
Yeah, true.
Because basically the user should be able to dedicate anywhere from like 4 kilobytes to 4 gigabytes now, but no more than 4 gigabytes. And then the next step after we get multi-replica farming is that they could slide it up even further to whatever their available space is.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
we want to try to roll these out incrementally and test them incrementally.
I have a question on the priority. So, okay, for the first priority, like implementing that advanced page, okay. But like we have some other important bugs that you mentioned, like since Leo is unavailable, I should take care of them. What are the priority for partial replica and these issues? Because I think the app doesn't always restart correctly, and estimating plot size are very big ones.
Yeah, so we want to keep moving on these features. The first priority is always bugs, but there will never be an end to bugs. So you just have to find some balance here, like 50-50,
Okay.
We will never stop having bugs. But we definitely want to get these critical bugs out of the way. If we're going to hit our goals for our launch date, we've also got to get these features imported into here as they come out. So this week, reward address. Next week, partial replica farming. The week after that, it'll be multi-replica farming. So we've got to keep going with the cadence here. If you need help with some of these bugs, if there's like JavaScript related bugs that you're not really sure about, leverage other people on the team, like leverage Serge. Don't spend all your time debugging it if it's not your area of expertise. And if it's something that's not on the JavaScript side, don't hesitate to get Nizar or some of the other engineers on the team involved to help with your debugging after you've done sort of your very initial assessment and trying to figure out what's going wrong.
Of course. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the group? Okay, great. I think, we lost Oscar. Okay, well, thanks everybody for watching. We will see you guys again next week, and look forward to getting a release out of this as soon as we fix all these bugs.
Have a good day, everybody.